you, Pastor Matt, setting the bar pretty high. Hopefully I can live up to those kind words. Good evening. For those of you who may not know me, my name is Sherwood. I usually sit kind of over there with like 1 to 5 other Sherwoods, depending on who's home from school and who isn't, or who's traveling or who isn't, or who got up on time and who got left behind at home. When I'm not sitting over there, you might find me behind the microphones with worship band or next to my mom in the church choir. Those of you who were here last week, which was kind of like a prequel to mine, already know that I basically hit the Christian genetic jackpot and was blessed enough to be born into a loving family that has always modeled discipleship and Christian grace for me and for my 3 younger siblings. We were all baptized pretty much before we could walk, and we've been coming to church almost every Sunday ever since. So when Dana asked me if I wanted to share my faith story this year, I was open to the idea, but I wasn't really sure what I would talk about. What you just heard is really kind of the gist of my faith story. I don't have some, tearjerker conversion tale or some major epiphany moment I can point to along my way. And when I told my dad that my first draft of this speech was only 4 minutes long, he went, "Well, you're 25," which is fair. That's true. I am. So anyways, Dana was nice enough to offer me lunch, and we talked about everything from my job to online dating, and we talked a lot about pottery. If you know me, that shouldn't surprise you, because I always want to talk about my ceramic studio and my pottery. If you see me after the service, please ask me, and I will be happy to show you pictures, like 1,000 pictures of my pottery. I actually thought about telling my entire faith story through the lens of pottery at one point, and talking about how making things out of dirt the way that God made Adam and Eve from the dirt has made me feel closer to him, and how as beings made in the image of God, it's natural for us to want to make things with our hands the way that he made us with his. But out of the blue, last week when I sat down to write this testimony, I suddenly remembered this time that I drove past the OLPH Catholic Church during the summer, and I saw that they had on their marquee sign, "The Grace of Ordinary Time." And I remembered I was so struck by this phrase that I wrote it down, and I've been holding on to it ever since. It's been sitting in the Notes app on my phone. The grace of ordinary time. That was the only thing the sign said, that's all. And it came across my path in a period of time where my life seemed to have stabilized and fallen to a steady, almost monotonous routine. I remember thinking about the phrase and asking myself, what grace could there be in a time that's totally ordinary, where it seems like nothing is happening? Backing up slightly, I graduated college in the summer of 2021, just as COVID vaccines were becoming widely available and mandates and restrictions were pretty much lifted. For a multitude of reasons, basically boiling down to I had no money. I ultimately moved home that summer with the intent to move out in the next 6 months to a year. And then, somehow, magically, 4 years passed. Suddenly, I'm looking around and it's 2025. I don't totally know how that happened. And along the way, I started really wrestling with this feeling that I've somehow fallen behind. While my peers and my friends have climbed corporate ladders and moved to new cities and found relationships, I've been just sort of hanging out. It has very much been a period of so-called ordinary time. And unfortunately, the honest truth is that for a lot of that time, I felt really lost and really isolated, very stuck in my ways and kind of unsatisfied with my work and my personal life. It seemed like my life had totally lost momentum, and there was nothing I could do to get it back on track. It felt like I was working my tail off, and no matter what I did, it wasn't enough. And I was constantly praying for some sort of answer, some sort of sign that my dedication would eventually pay off. And this is probably the part where I should mention that right now at our house, my childhood bedroom is in boxes, and my Bible is packed away because tomorrow I am moving to my first solo apartment in Pasadena. Years of prayer were finally answered by a job offer and a lease, which I signed, and my period of waiting and holding on and biding my time is finally at an end. Now it kind of seems like God has floored the gas and we're off to the races. So very different, change of pace. And of course, it's only now that I'm looking in the rearview mirror that I'm starting to notice and appreciate the gift that God has given me over these past 4 years, because hindsight is, as always, 2020. Since graduating college, I've had time to take on new commitments at our church with the worship band, And my Sunday service attendance has been the most steady and enthusiastic that it's ever been in my life. I've had time to strengthen my bonds with my family, who have given me strong foundations of faith on which I can build up the rest of my life. I've entered a time in my life where I feel confident that I know what my values are, I know what I want, and I know who I am. I have a strong sense of my identity, not only as a Christian, but also as a daughter, a sister, and a friend. My brothers, who have always made me crazy, have suddenly, over the last 4 years, become some of my greatest role models, who I look up to not just because they tower over me, which should be illegal for a younger brother to do, but also because they are devoted Christian leaders and true disciples of Christ's teachings. My baby sister is my most loyal movie-watching companion and my biggest cheerleader. I've even found myself saying these crazy things to my parents, you're absolutely right, and that's great advice. And even, if you can believe it, I totally agree with you. I've had conversations with my dad during my time at home that have shaped my perspective on the world and on people. And my mom has pretty much single-handedly kept me sane as I ricochet through the extreme emotional ups and downs of 20-somethinghood. And I know that this growth in myself and in these relationships didn't happen overnight. I know that while I was focused on all the things that you and I can see above the surface, the Lord was working to strengthen my roots underneath. What seemed to me like a period of monotony and routine was really an absence of distractions, an opportunity to give time to the things that have helped to nurture and heal me and prepare me for my future. It's also given me a chance to try new things, like pottery and like worship band, that have let me see my faith in new ways and given me a greater understanding of what that sense of Christian identity really means. Looking ahead at said future, I feel that the Lord has opened my eyes to all of the many ways that he works in my life and in yours. I can strive in the next 4 years, and in the 4 years after that, and the 4 years after that, on and on through the rest of my life, to continue to be receptive to his plans for me and open to his true purpose, even when the answer to my prayers is a no or a not yet. I hope to be more trusting that the Lord knows what's best for me, and that his purpose and his plans for me are good. I know that my faith story is really only just getting started. I'm entering a new chapter of my life in the upcoming weeks, kind of aptly timed around the Easter holiday, but I still plan on being here most Sundays, so you're not getting rid of me just yet. But with that said, I hope that you'll continue to pray for me and for my family during a season of a lot of transitions and departures. I want to thank you all for listening to me today and giving me an opportunity to share how grateful I am for the work that the Lord has done in my life. And I want to close with a passage that means a lot to me and to my family from the book of Jeremiah. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. Then you will call on me and come and pray to me, and I will listen to you. You will seek me and find me when you seek me with all your heart. Thank you so much.